Okay, and then I'm gonna let everybody in. Okay, and Wesleyne, if you want to go ahead and share, did I give you sharing?
Yep, you did. If you could let my Fathom in too, please.
Yep. And okay. All right, letting some more people in. And hey, good. Is it still morning, right? Or hey, it's 12 o'clock Eastern time, so it's technically afternoon where we are, Wesleyne. So happy Thursday, aka Julie. You know, we'd like to call it Happy Friday Eve for friends of ours, right? Happy Friday
Yep, love
Eve.
that. Tomorrow's a big day, right? Boilers play.
Boy,
Whew.
hey, boiler up, right? I've
Yep.
got them. I have them winning my bracket. So just
Well, same, but I did last year too.
yeah,
So,
it's you know what? This year's the year. This year is the year. So all right, guys, we will I like starting promptly for those of us that like to show up on time and we'll keep letting people in. So welcome. Thank you for joining us today. Boy, we have a wonderful, amazing, incredible program. We've got a great speaker here today. So as I'm letting people in, Julie, do you want to go ahead and kick things off with a little Purdue greeting?
sure. No, happy Boiler Thursday. Now, welcome to everybody. Thank you on behalf of Purdue MEP. For those that don't know us, there's an MEP center in every state within the US. We are the one for Indiana. But we like to say that we help manufacturers, small to medium is our niche, but we'll help anybody. If you have a problem, we typically have a solution, whether it's lean, quality, marketing, whatever, we can help you out. So I think there'll be contact info at the end if you need to get a hold of us. But we love partnering with Kurt and Wesleyne on these marketing webinars to help out our friends and clients and throughout the state. So thanks to you both for doing this for us.
Absolutely. Thank you. Boy, we're what an honor, what a privilege. So if you are new to the MEP network, if you're coming to us, whether you're coming to us from the state of Indiana, check out Purdue MEP. They are doing amazing, incredible work. I think 50-ish strong and just all sorts of experts and very passionate on helping manufacturers move the needle, hit your goals. So if you haven't done so yet, please reach out to the Purdue MEP. If you're coming to us from outside of the great state of Indiana, check out your local MEP. If you Google Manufacturing Extension Partnership, you will find your local MEP. So let's see. Can you go? I got a note here from, all right, Wesleyne, I will check that out. And I'm going to kick things off here. So I'm going to do a little intro, but as we get started, if we were in person, we were, we'd be high-fiving, handshaking, maybe throwing some hugs around, right? COVID's way in the past, Julie, right? Are we at the hugging stage now? So we would be handing out business cards. Would I encourage you, invite you, welcome you to do, drop your website for those of us who are on LinkedIn. And if we're not connected, boy, we would love to connect with you on LinkedIn. So drop a LinkedIn connection in the chat box. Great opportunity to connect with some new friends, family here, if you will. And so I want to give a little intro to my dear friend, Wesleyne. So Wesleyne Whittaker, we connected on LinkedIn, speaking of 3 years ago. We had a wonderful conversation. She sent me a note and said, it went like this. If you guys connect with me on LinkedIn, my number one job is, and we'll come into it, I think we're going to hit that, Wesleyne, is I'm a girl dad. And so she sends me a note that says, girl dad, well, I'm a boy mom. We need to chat. We totally hit it off, became fast best friends immediately. We've been collaborating and working together ever since. And she sent me a note and said, what is this MEP that you're talking about, Kurt? I'd like to get on another call to learn more. And you're looking at this screenshot right here. This is Wesleyne. She was the keynote speaker of the MEP conference this past September, and she absolutely hit the ball out of the park. And Julie, Gene just joined us. So if he's coming in right now, that's a picture of Gene Jones from Purdue MEP. If you don't know Gene, I strongly encourage you, welcome you to reach out to Gene. So Wesleyne, you're a recovering chemist, sales guru. Please take it away.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit more about your why, Kurt. What is your why?
My why is this lovely young lady right here. So this is my daughter, Lauren. Lauren is she's a high schooler. We're starting to look at colleges. She just started driving, so I say she's driving me crazy. I'm just kidding. I didn't say that out loud, did I? So this is my why. Just my best friend on the planet. You know, she's taking all sorts of business classes. I'm like, dude, I like, you know, I used to have hair when I started a business. I'm like, you sure you want to follow in dad's footsteps? And so this is my daughter, Lauren, and she is my why.
Oh, thank you. And so my why are my two boys, and I have two amazing young men, a high schooler and an elementary. John, can you mute yourself, please? Awesome. A high schooler and an elementary schooler. So my high schooler, he always learned things very quickly. He started reading when he was 2.5. He's in an engineering high school right now, taking all advanced and AP courses. So whenever I taught him something, he got it very, very quickly. My younger son, it took him a little bit longer to learn to read, to get his letters and colors. And a couple years ago, I found out that he's dyslexic. And so the way the dyslexic brain works is he actually needs to understand the origins of things. He needs to understand when you see an A and an I together, it makes this sound all the time. Or this is the way I form my mouth when I'm saying this word or this sound. And so throughout this presentation, you're going to see me use many different teaching styles, because I understand that everybody learns a little bit differently. And what I want to do is I want to ensure that I am meeting you where you are. So we are about to go into a very jam-packed hour of prospecting, of understanding. These are going to be building blocks. I'm not just going to say, these are all the things you need to do to fill the top of your pipeline. But what we're going to do is we're going to use some building blocks. And before I launch into it, if you are able to, I would love to see your smiling face. It helps me. It helps Kurt to see faces instead of boxes and names. So if you can come on camera, I would greatly appreciate that. Awesome. So the very first thing that we're going to start with are the things that are holding you back. So Kurt, when you hear of self-limiting beliefs, what does that trigger inside of you?
Boy, there's a lot there, right? You know, you can think of you know, that word scarcity, maybe self-sabotage, you know, not good enough, those types of things, right? And when you're in sales, you know, as soon as, you know, little sniff of I won't say weakness, but you know, lack of confidence in you will. And I think what's so important, you know, as you know, here at the Purdue MEP, we're just so dedicated and so passionate about helping manufacturers is really how do you overcome that? And another, I've you know, I'm 55, Wesleyne. You know, a great way to overcome self-limiting beliefs is I finally figured out what I'm good at. You know what I'm good at? I'm good at admitting what I'm not good at. So if I'm not good at something, let me find someone like yourself who's just an absolute rock star speaker on this topic, bring you in, because it just makes me a lot better. I don't need to be the smartest guy in the room, so that's why we bring you here.
I love it. I love it. And you're right. Self-limiting beliefs are those things that we tell ourselves, and most of the time they're not true. And so we're going to walk through a few areas of self-limiting beliefs that really impact you in sales. So the first one is negative self-talk. It is really having that conversation in your head that is not productive. I'm not good enough for this. I'm not worthy of this. I shouldn't be in this room. I shouldn't ask for more money. It's all of those things that we tell ourselves that we would never say out loud to anyone in our family, anyone that we love, or we wouldn't even say it out loud so others could hear us. Call and meeting anxiety. This is the anxiety you have before you have to make a cold call, before you get on that discovery call or that prospect call. It's those butterflies in your stomach. It's the sweaty palms. This is a real thing. And this impacts some people, sometimes from even picking up the phone, this anxiety. I spoke to someone recently and they said, the anxiety is overwhelming me so much, I am unable to focus on all of my other tasks. So if you have call and meeting anxiety, it is a real thing. The fear of rejection. So at times what happens is we've gotten rejected before. Somebody's told us no. Somebody has hung up the phone on our face. They have done something to reject us. And so we hold on to that rejection and they're like, oh, and we literally tell ourselves, I'm not going to try that again. I'm not going to call this person again. I don't want to do that again, because they're just going to say no. They're not going to accept a meeting with me. They're not going to respond to my email. So our fear of rejection stops us from even going. And then losing before starting. When we lose before we start, what that means is we are literally in a place where we are telling ourselves it's not worth it. I'm not going after this new market, this new industry. I'm not launching the new product. I'm not going to get on LinkedIn. I'm not going to try to update my website because it's just not going to work. So this losing before starting, it kind of takes all of the other topics that we have spoken about thus far, and it puts them into one. And so when we lose before we start, what happens is the thing that we don't do is we don't prospect, because most people don't enjoy cold calling unless you're Kurt Anderson and you love it. This is his number one thing. He loves connecting. He loves cold calling, but most of us don't enjoy it. So we don't even try. So I want you to take a minute or two, and I want you to write down and share in the chat if you feel comfortable with which of these self-limiting beliefs is impacting your sales. And Kurt, why don't we share which one impacts us? Which one impacts you?
Is all the above an answer? Nah, I'm just teasing. I think as we're targeting manufacturers, and so, a lot of solo marketers are out there, some solopreneurs, maybe entrepreneurs, folks that are biz devs. It's tough. You've got to have thick skin, right? You've got to be relentless. You've got to be persistent. And a big thing that I've learned along the way, you have to accept those no's, and another big thing that you and I love chatting about, and I hope I'm not jumping ahead, is what happens when we try to be everything to everybody, Wesleyne?
Yeah, we become nothing to nobody. And that has the all of these self-limiting beliefs wrapped up into one, because we try to elevate our ego or elevate ourselves by saying, I can be a jack of all trades, I can do all the things, but we're actually sabotaging ourselves in the making of doing that.
Hey, let's grab a couple. I'll check the chat box for you, Wesleyne. We've got, hey, my buddy Gary Wood is in the house today, and my buddy Alan is here today. And I'm letting my friend, hey, Julie Lisa from Steel Cities is here, so she just popped in. So hey, Gary Wood says picking up the phone. Julie says fear of cold calling. Rebecca says new to all this, fear of rejection is huge for me. Kelly says, morning, Kelly, or good afternoon, wherever you're coming from. I struggle with both losing before starting and the negative talk. And Gene, our friend, says fear of not having the best response to an objection. That's a good one there. Thank you, Gene.
Yeah. So all of these things, what I want everybody to realize is we all struggle with some self-limiting belief. So as we think about stepping into selling, whether you are a full-time salesperson or sales is a portion of your job, there are all things that are holding us back. And so the first action step that I have for you, because you're going to have lots of action steps coming out of the next 45 minutes, is what I want you to do on a day when you feel like your best self, on a day when you have won a deal, you have done something that you are really proud of. I want you to record a video for yourself. Literally, I want you to pick up your phone and record a video. And in that video, I want you to tell yourself how amazing you are, how hard you worked, how many objections you overcame, all of the things that you did that led you to get to that point. And I literally will record a video and I'll be like, hey, Wesleyne, you are so amazing. Can you believe you beat out all of the competitors and you reigned supreme and you were number one with the same enthusiasm and energy I would have after I win a deal? Because on those days when you aren't your best self, when you don't feel well, what you do is you watch that video. You watch this and you're like, I can do it. I've done it before. I can do it again. Right? So overcoming self-limiting beliefs is the number one thing, because we have to start with our mindset before we build our skill set. So start with your mindset, have your mind in the game to ensure that you can target and prospect and fill the top of your funnel well.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Kurt,
hey, well, hey, real quick, Wesleyne, real quick. So so we did a workshop yesterday diving into this. And so, here's a video that somebody shot. They did one of their so we're with these executive coaches yesterday, and Wesleyne and I did a little workshop for a team of folks, and Wesleyne asked the exact same thing, and a woman last night put that out. So yeah, and we've got and Alan says, when I was 100% commission sales rep for 10 years, I live by fortune favors the brave. So Alan, thank you for that comment. And so yeah, and we're gonna dive. So guys, we're just doing just kind of get our mindset going on sales. We're gonna dive right into that buyer persona right now.
So what do you call a buyer persona? Kurt?
Buyer personas. So if anybody's come to our workshops in the past, if anybody comes to, we call them our soulmates. Who's that soulmate? Who's that one person that really has that challenge that you have that solution for? So yeah, let's dive right into this.
So just as Kurt said, this is your soulmate, your ideal client profile. And what I want to present to you guys today is that in the selling situations that you're going into, most often there's not one person involved, because most times there are multiple people. If you're selling into another business, so going B2B, there's typically 7 or 8 people involved. If you're doing business to consumers, so you're selling to just one person, there's at least one other person involved, whether it's that person's spouse or their children or their family or their friends. They ask questions. They want to know. People typically do not make decisions alone. So we are going to dive into the different types of personas. So an influencer in a business, when you are going into selling into another business, there are a team of influencers. And when I say there are a team of influencers, there are other people that influence the buying decisions, the decision to choose you versus your competitor. And so how do you know that you have an influencer? An influencer is someone who, when asked a question, do you like Adam's solution? They'll say, yeah, Adam's solution is really, really great. If they say, well, what don't you like about Adam's solution? And they'll share all the things that they don't like about Adam's solution. But what they don't do is they don't offer up information. So an influencer only answers when asked. And again, this is the same thing if you're going directly to a consumer. So maybe you are dealing with a woman and you have this great meeting with her, and then she goes dark. She says, oh, I have to talk to my husband. And she goes dark. You don't hear from her ever again. She's the influencer in that situation. She doesn't have the voice. She doesn't have the ante to actually speak up. You know that you're speaking to an influencer, somebody who's only influencing the decision, if they go dark. The influencer will go dark because they don't really have skin in the game. So oftentimes people focus on the decision maker. I need the person signing the check. I need the person with the money. But the person with the money, if there's anyone on here who is a CEO, an entrepreneur, or sits in an executive seat, a VP or a chief operating officer or anything like that, you know you don't have time. So yes, you may need a solution. Yes, you may need a problem solved, but you don't have time to talk to salespeople. You don't have the time to sit down and understand why their solution is working and all of the things. You just know that you have a problem that needs to be solved. So a decision maker is not going to go through the sales process with you. They're just going to check the box. And when it comes time to wrap a decision maker into a selling situation, they need high-level bullet points. So if you are only talking to the decision maker and they only answer and respond to bullet points, and you're not speaking their language, you're never going to get through to them. So again, a decision maker will respond to your emails. They will schedule meetings, but they'll always have to reschedule the meetings. They will be distracted if they ever do hop on a meeting, because again, they don't have time. Who do we focus on? We focus on the internal champion. So your internal champion is a person within the organization that has the biggest problem. They have the biggest issue, and they know that they need this issue to be solved. Why do they need this issue to be solved? They need this issue to be solved because it personally and professionally impacts them. So when we think about an internal champion, this person may not have the budget authority, but what they do have is they have the authority to bring the right people to the meetings. So an internal champion in your selling situations, in your buying situations, could be an operations supervisor, not the operations manager or operations director. Why? Because the supervisor is feeling when people call in, he has to take over their shifts. When somebody gets hurt, he's the one who has to file the reports for lost time. When equipment breaks down, he has to call all of the vendors, figure out how to get things fixed. So if you're selling something that's going to provide operational efficiency, we talk to him. We target him because he's the one who has a personal and professional impact on the line. Whereas the operations manager, operations director, they're not on the floor. They're not on the plant floor. So they hear about it and they know that it needs to be resolved, but they don't really have skin in the game. Okay. So I want to talk about a problem versus a pain, because a lot of time people say, well, get to the pain. What is the person's pain? A pain is annoying. So going back to that operations supervisor, what's annoying is it takes a piece of equipment 20 minutes to boot up, and they really want it to take 10 minutes. That's annoying. That's not going to convince them to buy a new piece of equipment. It's just annoying. But a problem is that piece of equipment every 2 days breaks down. And so they lose time. They're behind schedule. It costs them profitability. That's a problem. A problem is something like, this is more than annoying. This is impacting my bottom line. This is impacting my reputation. And so what I want us to think about now is I want us to think about the markets that we're selling into, who our actual internal champions are, and what are the problems that they have. What are the problems that they have? And I want you to take note that the problems that they have may not necessarily be the thing that your solution solves for, right? So think about this person in like a little vacuum. So again, that operations supervisor, I kind of use that as an example. So as you guys are thinking and working through that, I'm going to let some people come off mute so I can do some live coaching. But Kurt, tell us about an internal champion or a client that you worked with where you've helped them find their internal champion soulmate.
Yeah, I love this. So so again, what we want you guys to think about. So, manufacturer, whether you're OEM, contract manufacturer, if you're in the food chain, or, think about where you're at. Okay. I'm going to give you guys an example. Client of ours that we work with, I'm in New York, and through the New York MEP, it's a company that manufactures covert antennas. So really a great company. Think about, first responders, military, just a wonderful company, been around since 1967, and they have 3 soulmates that they're targeting. And what we found is, like, most manufacturers kind of fall in these 3 buckets. So it's number 1, purchasing. So is it purchasing Paul, purchasing Patty? They're trying to find the best price. They're trying to appease their boss. Think about who are they calling to, or who they trying to, win their day to, right? So you have the person in purchasing. There's a saying, if you win engineering, you're going to win the sale. So typically we're targeting, it's common we're targeting engineering. So I love either engineering Ernie or engineering Elsa. And how are we putting out that content that, whether you're on LinkedIn, a YouTube video, how are you targeting that engineer? Okay. The third person, as Wesleyne was just describing, I call it like maintenance Murray. Now with this company that I was describing, it has covert antennas. It was FBI agent Frank. An FBI agent is in, like, now his motivations, his challenges, dramatically different than the engineer. The engineer's in the office geeking out on numbers and this and strategy and efficiency. FBI agent Frank, he's in the field trying to protect his team. He's trying to, like, he's worried, am I coming home today? He has a much drastically different, when you talk about problem and pain, much different, right? So I want to, as you guys are going through this exercise, think about, what are those buckets? Is it engineering, Ernie, Elsa? Is it somebody in purchasing? Or is it maintenance Murray, who's on the line and, 20 people are screaming at him because the machine went down? Or is it, FBI Frank? So think about those buckets. I find those super helpful. And it seems like most manufacturers kind of fall in those categories. But Wesleyne, what's your take?
I love it. I think you laid that out perfectly and really described the difference between different internal champions that somebody could be targeting. So I would love for somebody to raise their hands or come off mute and share who their internal champion is, as well as problems that they are facing.
Who do we got? Who's going to come on down, right?
Going to be the brave person.
Who do we see? How about Buddy? Buddy, what do you got?
I think honestly, probably we work in a tech heavy business with safety solutions. I work a lot with nonprofits and churches. So the reality is the person that has, let me see, the decision maker often is someone on the security team when they need background checks. But a lot of times the decision maker, so excuse me, the influencer is the one that wants to get these background checks, but the decision maker that doesn't have the time to follow through is like lead pastors or executive pastors within these organizations. And really what we run into is the pain of it's an inconvenience for them to not have the ability to integrate with some of our software solutions through like their church management systems. But the big problem is budget. The big problem is the amount of time that it takes to integrate with some of these safety solutions. So yeah, that's what we realize who we need to get to is usually a room of individuals. So this is helpful. We need executive pastor, we need security, we need IT, because each of them plays really different role. And I find myself a lot of times going to the wrong individual. I go to the decision maker, but they don't have the time to follow through. So I really need to go to the internal champion. So that's been helpful to hear.
Awesome. Awesome. And it sounds like, I'm not sure if you said your internal champion would be IT or security. Who is the person that you need to target?
That's what I'm trying to think through, because the IT ends up having way more influence than they should within it. They don't understand the complexities of things like background checks and abuse and prevention training. So that's my tension. That's where I could probably use some help from you, because I usually talk to head of security. IT comes in and says, hey, we don't have the time to change our church management platform integration right now. So I end up being in a standstill for multiple months. And then meanwhile, the true decision maker, the pastor, is nowhere in the conversation.
So this is good. Thank you so much for sharing, buddy. So the internal champion should have enough influence and impact to get the decision maker to the table. So when you're having meetings, you need to be thinking about, yes, this person has a big problem. Yes, it's impacting them personally and professionally, but can they bring people to the table? If they can't bring people to the table, then they're an influencer. They're not an internal champion. So an internal champion does have power to bring the right people to the table. And I would encourage you to think about this a little bit deeper, because it sounds like, if I understand what your product does, it sounds like what you are providing is you're providing risk mitigation. So who in the organization really cares about risk mitigation, especially when you think about the safety of having children? You know, if it's at church, like say children and elderly people and things like that, who cares about that? And so in your situation, it may not be IT or security. It's maybe like the pastor over the care ministry or the person over the children's ministry. So really think through who not just has these problems, but who also has the pull, who can have that lead pastor's ear to say, these are the reasons why we need to do this. And then they'll get IT together and they'll make it happen.
If I can ask a question, is there a way to help an influencer become an internal champion by creating some maybe positive tension and then asking, hey, can you bring people to the table with you?
So you can. So the thing is, one of the things you do, you have to gauge whether or not this person actually has the ante within them to ruffle feathers. Because an internal champion has to ruffle feathers. If they're just a status quo, I don't want to mess with anybody, you're never going to give them enough of what they need to do what they need to do. But you can ask them questions, and people don't really like you to say, hey, do you have the authority to bring this person to the table?
Yeah.
Well, they listen like that. They're like, oh, you don't care about me. So you ask questions kind of around the way, and that's slightly outside the scope of what we're doing. So I'm going to answer this and move on. But you would ask a question about, so the last time that you brought in a third-party vendor, can you walk me through how you handle that internally? And they'll say, oh yeah, I remember we were getting this new HR software and we did this and that. So you kind of ask them a question around the way.
Excellent. That's helpful. Thank you.
So
awesome.
Wesleyne, let's tie in something real quick there. So buddy, having when you know church politics, right? Sometimes the board, get to the board president or somewhere. So there's usually like one person that's like kind of run the show behind the scenes. But anyway, on a more serious note, is let's talk about content for a second here. So I was with a client yesterday and we were talking, they're putting out a bunch of content, and I was in the content was very heavy driven towards my solutions. If this, we offer this, all the features, all the benefits. So they're kind of like, I hate this, throwing up all the solutions. So buddy and everybody on the call here, team, what we want to think, and we're all a team together today, we're all accountability to each other, right? We want to think about what are their problems, okay? Wesleyne, we do a little exercise. It's called, I'm going to throw it in there real quick. Everybody has one favorite radio station. Do you remember this one, Julie? Everybody has one favorite radio station. Does anybody know what that? I think I did this last time and somebody had the answer. Does anybody know? Every person on the planet listens to one favorite radio station. Do you guys know what it is? Tick tock, tick tock. Ready? WIIFM. WII. Thank you, Gary Woods. It's what's in it for me. So as you're putting out content, you're putting out blogging, you're putting out videos, I encourage you, I implore you, follow Wesleyne on LinkedIn on a daily basis. She is relentlessly putting out information for her soulmates about their problems. She's not really talking about herself. She's meeting her soulmate where they're at, and they're talking about content. So let's dive in, Wesleyne.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Kurt. And so the reason why, just as Kurt mentioned, it is important for us to identify our internal champion and understand their problems, because it flows into the reason why you guys are here, prospecting, right? So if Buddy is talking to a lead pastor in his post, if he is going places where lead pastors are, they're not paying attention to him. Because they're not thinking about security. It's not at the top of their brain. So he's missing the mark. So really identifying the internal champion is really, really important, because everything that we do around prospecting, we want to target them. We want to be around them. We want to surround them completely. So when I talk about prospecting, I talk about these 3 different pillars. And it is important for you to be in all 3 of these areas at every given time within your business. Whether you're a business owner or if you're a salesperson, you should be actively engaging in all 3 pillars of these prospecting. So first is networking. And there's 2 different buckets in networking. So when we network, we are going places where our internal champion shows up. That is a direct method of networking. So again, you must know who the internal champion is, and you need to understand the problems that they have. So when you meet them, your 20-30-second elevator pitch hits them immediately, because they're meeting a lot of people and you want to stand out in the crowd. The other way that we network is we go to places where there are referral partners that are also doing business with our ideal client. So you think about whatever adjacent business, who else is selling to your client that could be complementary to you, because you can forge partnerships. So in networking, these are just a few examples of different networking mediums that you can tap into. Trade shows. I really like regional, local trade shows where my internal champion is showing up, because the thing is, a person is more apt to take a day or a half a day away. They can drive to it and they're right in your backyard. That doesn't mean that you don't go to the larger ones, but you can get a lot of meat in going to a local or regional trade show. For pastors of care ministries, since Buddy's the only person that I know, that's what I can say. Where do operational supervisors go, right? Where are they going to get their continuing education? Where do they get their information from? Industry events. So these are specific events that are targeted. It could be continuing education. It can be something where your actual ideal client profile is. Kurt's talking about the MEPs a lot. We're on a Purdue MEP webinar right now. An industry event is something where there are all manufacturing exchange partnerships showing up, where all manufacturers are showing up. Chamber of Commerce. So depending on what your particular business is, a Chamber of Commerce could be good for you. And it also kind of depends on where you are geographically. Some places like in Houston, I think probably within 20, 30 minutes of me, I can hit like 7 or 8 chambers because there's so many different chambers. But local businesses are members of Chamber of Commerce and they have events. And so they have events throughout the month. They have open events that you can just drop in for free. They have opportunities for you to speak, for you to learn from people. So again, finding your local chamber and just becoming active in it. And I recommend if you are going to go the chamber route, you don't just become a member of your chamber, you get on a committee. And my sneaky little secret is get on the new member committee, because you get to greet all the new members that come in and you're like, oh, that is going to be a soulmate for me. Oh, they call on my soulmates. So that's how you work a chamber. And networking groups. Kurt mentioned that yesterday we were on a group and it was a mastermind group with like-minded people that all have the same goal. And so this networking group is a place where you are typically targeting your referral partners, or maybe you are going to a networking group where all of your internal champions are and you're just kind of like the odd person out. So if you are a business owner and you are doing prospecting and sales as a portion of your job, I recommend that you have one networking event each month. So commit to going to one networking event each month. If sales is what you do, like you are a salesperson, you are, hitting the road often, you should have 2 to 3 events that you are attending per month. You need to be a little bit more intentional about filling the top of the pipeline. But as business owners, I want you to have one. So please go ahead and write down what your one event is going to be for the month. What's your one thing for the month, Kurt? For the month of April, I'm sorry, since we're stepping into a new month, we're building our prospecting plan for the month of April. What's your thing going to be?
I'm doing it right here with Julie and Jean today, right, Julie? So this is, so I'm out there quite a bit. So, but let's go here. So let's tie in. All right, from for our marketers out there, let's tie in how to take advantage. And this has been, now that the world's, COVID's behind us, right? Even though I think I had it earlier this year, but anyway, now we're back. We're socializing, we're getting back out. There's great opportunities here to target those soulmates, as we want to go where your soulmates are hanging out. How can we be very strategic with these folks? And as Wesleyne described, those decision makers, those influencers, and those internal champions, are they hanging out on LinkedIn? Are you selling direct to consumer? Maybe they're more on Instagram or Facebook. Do they need videos? Now, if you guys are, for our reading friends out there, great book to read, They Ask, You Answer. It's a wonderful marketing book. It's called They Ask, You Answer. And the more that you dedicate yourself to answering those questions, and what you can do is tied in. So I was just at the Industrial Marketing Conference a month and a half ago. And so we did a ton. I was a sponsor. So number one, I sponsored the conference. Number two, we did a ton of like promo events and like really built it up prior. When we were at the event, we were doing live videos and stuff. So, I mean, that might not be in your wheelhouse. Maybe that's a little too much, but there's a lot of things that you can do before an event, during the event, and then after the event. Connect with folks on LinkedIn before the event. Connect with folks on LinkedIn at the during the event. Connect with them after. So again, there's a lot of things that we can do here. Now that we're getting back in person, we can tie it in from a digital standpoint and get a nice, healthy hybrid between the two.
Absolutely, Kurt. And you are the master connector. So that is his special secret sauce, but he's absolutely right. If you go to an industry event or trade show or chamber, anything, and you just show up and expect to be fed, expect to get leads, expect to do, it's not going to happen. You have to do work before you show up. You need to be intentional about seeing who's going to be there, even if you don't buy the list of actual attendees, or you can't get that for free. Go on the website and see who are the sponsors. Then based on who the sponsors are, go find out who is your internal champion within those organizations and connect with them on LinkedIn. Try to set meetings up. Maybe they weren't planning on going, but they will go now. So make your time at these events very, very impactful. And that's why as a business owner, you can just do one. Right? You can do one per month, but as a salesperson, at least 2. And if you can do 3. All right, so let us move on to the next pillar, which is educating. So for this pillar, I call this educate them and they will come. If you teach someone something, they will see you as a thought leader. They will see you as a subject matter expert, and they will lean on you and they will look to you to get more knowledge and to get more education. And when somebody looks to you as an expert, then they realize I should probably work with that person. That person's solution is something that I should probably tap into. So educating, how can we do this? We can do this in terms of, so seminars can be a variety of things. It can be a full day seminar. It can be a half day seminar. It can be a lunch and learn. And one thing that I really like to do, we're here with the Purdue MEP. I like to partner with universities because it is a very neutral spot, and universities are usually like, yes, industry people come on campus. Yes, you can host something here. We would love to reserve a room for you. And it's usually pretty inexpensive. So find a local university in your area, tap into the right department, whether it's the business department or whatever it is, your local MEP, ask if you can reserve a room and just invite people and literally teach something. And the goal with all of these educating pieces is go deep, don't go wide. Let's not teach them the whole process of how to do everything. Let's not go all the way through everything that you're really excellent and great at. And kind of like Kurt said, this isn't the show about you. This is my internal champion. These are the problems. They have a problem mitigating risk. They have a problem with downtime on their equipment. I'm going to help them understand the reason why this happens. Here are some solutions that they can try. And then, yes, you weave your solution in there, but don't make it seem like a sales pitch. Really educate people. So webinars, just like we're doing here, you can easily have a webinar no longer than 90 minutes because people get Zoom fatigue. But again, one topic, go deep. A white paper, a case study. So this is written forms of information. Like I told you about my children earlier, my older son, when we watch TV, he watches the show with the subtitles on because he likes to read and watch, which is weird to me. It's distracting to me. I can't do the words. But my younger son is like, no words. He's an audiobook person. When he wants to, he'll listen to a book over reading it. So some people won't attend a webinar or a seminar, but they'll read a document that you give them, that you send to them, right? And so these white papers, these case studies, it can be as simple as, this is a client that I worked with. These were the problems that they had. These were all of the things they tried. And this is the success that they had after working with me. You can even interview your existing clients to get this information for these case studies. And we're going to talk about the next method shortly, which is direct methods. And you use this in your actual outreach. You use this in the things that you're doing online, even when you're going to these trade shows, like having this printed material, because it kind of gives you the background information for people, the people that you're targeting. And finally, podcast appearances. So what this is you getting on other people's platforms to tap into their audience. So if you are targeting, let's say we're targeting finance people, right? We're targeting managers of finance. So you should know, because you know your internal champion, you understand the problems that they have, and you've done a really, really good job of understanding how they consume information and where they get it, the podcast that they listen to. So you just reach out to the podcast host and you say, hey, this is who I am. I would love to appear on your podcast. Most people allow you to appear for free. Sometimes there's a small fee, but again, you're tapping into their audience and you're educating their audience. So, Kurt, what's your favorite kind of educating pillar?
Well, so we do tons of training. We work closely with our friends at MEPs in different states, and we have a little tagline that we love to share as we're coaching our manufacturers on how to, beat the competition, how to get that word out there. We have another fun tagline: how to stop being the best kept secret, right? And it's this: how do you out teach the competition? How do you out teach the competition? So instead of outspending the competition, or, hey, let's spend more money on ads, or let's do this. And it's a kind of an easy passive for us old guys, taking an ad out in a phone book type of mentality, right? Today, if any takeaway that you have today, I would welcome you take a screenshot of what Wesleyne has right here. This could be your most powerful secret sauce right here. How do you dedicate yourself to out teach the competition? What a better way, buddy, like you're describing, to educate those folks. What a better way to earn their trust? What a better way to help them understand what you're doing? The product, if you're a CNC shop, you're manufacturing printed circuit boards, whatever product that you manufacture or produce, they might know, if you sell to OEMs, they might know they're finished good, but they don't know that little part or that widget that you manufacture, and there's nobody on the planet knows it as well as you. Just be a fierce educator. Do any one of these things, and we could go deeper on it. But I'm a huge proponent for all 5 of these. So I'm all over it. Great job, Wesleyne.
All over it, all over it. Yes, because like myself, Kurt likes to talk. And so if you're like us and you like to talk, you'll be all over education because it's easier to talk.
Just a little.
Just a little bit, right? But again, in all of those bits of education, when we step into this, what I call directed prospecting, we're actually going to be using the bits of information, the things that you've created, the things that you've done in that education pillar. So I have warm calling and warm emailing on here because we're not just using this spray and pray approach, which spray and pray is, oh, hey, I'm going to target every single operations supervisor in the state of Indiana because they are possibly a ideal client. They're possibly a soulmate. No. I'm going to target operations supervisors that have been in their job for less than 6 months because I know that people who've been in their job for less than 6 months usually have a higher propensity to use my product. So that means I know something about them and I know their problems. So I'm not just sending these cold emails or cold calling. I actually know something about the prospect. So I'm breaking down that layer. So direct methods. And the social media prospecting, Kurt tapped into it a little bit, but this is not the bots that people are selling you and telling you to try and use. That is annoying and that doesn't work. So when you prospect on social media, your goal is to support your internal champion on social media. What does that mean? When they post, you like, you comment. And then if you're on Instagram or TikTok, or depending on the platform your internal champion is using, then you follow them. Then you connect with them, right? But you serve before you do anything. So that serving means like, comment, and be thoughtful about the comment, not just great posts. I really enjoyed reading about how your church has taken the initiative to decrease the time it takes a person to check in. I don't know, whatever it is, right? Literally, you write that comment, take the same comment and add that to your connection message. If you're on LinkedIn, hey, Bob, I enjoyed reading your post about blah, 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 and I like this part. I would love to be a part of your network. Simple as that on LinkedIn. On Instagram and the other social media platforms, you can't write a customized connection request, but you do want to like and comment on their stuff first. And so how do you find this person? Literally, who that internal champion is, their title, type it in the search bar. Operations supervisor in Montana. And you'll find a whole list of people. Make a goal to connect with 5 people a week, 10 people a week, 5 people a day. Give yourself a goal and be intentional about showing up every single day. And what you'll see is you're going to start building your network online of your internal champions. And so the other piece of that is, so we built this content out for our educating piece. That's what we use to post. So we use that content on our social media platforms. So again, when I started this segment of 3 pillars of prospecting, I said how important it is to be in all of these at the same time. And the reason is because they're interconnected. What I want everybody to understand is it takes 10 to 15 touches to convert someone. So you have to be intentional. You have to do different things. You see them at a trade show, then you connect with them on LinkedIn, then you send them a warm email. That's 3 touches. They may still not take a meeting with you. You have to be intentional and keep going. So in this directed method, I want you to set yourself a goal, a daily goal, a weekly goal of what you're going to do. I'm going to send 5 warm emails a day. I'm going to find 5 new prospects on social media each week. The one I didn't mention was showing up unannounced. And again, Kurt mentioned we are past COVID. And depending who your internal champion is, they may work in an office. They may have a storefront. They may have something where you can literally just show up. Like show up and offer them something of value, not just a brochure. It needs to be something of value to them. So again, what are the problems that they have? How can you help them solve that problem with something that you offer? So again, be intentional about setting goals in each of these pillars of prospecting. Okay. What you got, Kurt?
Oh man, is this all right? We're gonna start wrapping things up in a bow. And so I want to, we're talking about that ideal buyer. We don't want to be everything to everybody. So think specifically, Wesleyne, you do an amazing job of like, I want to sell to one person. I always think of Melinda or Lynn. I have two soulmates that I'm targeting, the solo marketer or the solopreneur, and everything that you and I do. We're like, all right, how can we help Melinda today? How can we help Lynn? Right. And so take that. She also talked about the referral network. We call it that Soulmate 100. If you have a sheet, come up with 100 clients. We're talking about the MEP network. There's one in all 50 states. Well, I could start targeting any of those MEPs in all 50 states. Buddy with churches. Think about not only a list of churches, maybe there's a specific denomination that you resonate with. Let's get very specific with her referral idea. Who's every person that's trying to get their foot in the door with that church? Maybe the property insurance, the liability insurance, maybe the janitorial supply. Like what are other people that I can connect with, create a relationship? You can do it on social media. You could do it in person. Okay. And the last thing I want to talk about is that social media prospecting. If we get very specific, Wesleyne, when we got off our workshop yesterday, I was talking to an e-commerce software company that we love working with our clients. And I love what they did. They did this. They're like, hey, we have a bunch of clients who are already customers and they're at this scope. And we feel that they could be at this scope. They just need a little nudge. So now they've got real specific. And they're like, well, we started targeting like certain cities and certain areas. And then the more we talked, we narrowed it down. So instead of that spray and pray that you just described, I was just like, I got chills talking to these guys because like we got so specific on who we can help. Not that we want to sell to, that we honestly feel that we can bring value and improve their businesses through the MEPs. And it was just really inspiring when you can think that way. So this is great stuff, man.
Awesome. Thank you for wrapping that up in a nice little packet. And everything Kurt said sums up all the things that we've talked about perfectly. And as you like to say, niche down until it hurts. So get to that smallest addressable internal champion. Figure out, and you should be such an expert on that internal champion that you understand where they consume information, the conferences they go to, the social media platforms they have. And Kurt has a fantastic resource on his website where you can build out this buyer persona, this soulmate, so you can actually see these things.
Yes, I'll grab a link and I'm going to drop that in the chat. And hey, did you see our friend Gary Wood dropped a little note?
Oh, thank you, Gary. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Gary,
Thank you.
Gary says, drop the mic. Wesleyne, you are amazing. And we agree with that. So guys, I just dropped a little link in there. What I'd love to do, I want to be mindful of everybody's time. So first off, as we wind down, hey, how about we give a huge round of applause for Wesleyne for just hitting the ball out of the park as she always does. Wesleyne has a QR code. Wesleyne, I'm going to have you explain that real quick before anybody jumps. I wanted to say a huge thank you to you. Huge thank you to the Purdue MEP. Connect with the Purdue MEP. But Wesleyne, you have a really cool QR code. Let's hear what's going on here.
Yeah, so this is called Wesleyne Wisdom AI. And so, as I said, I love to talk. And over the years, I have curated hundreds and thousands of hours of videos. So for your sales, your marketing, your business, your strategy questions, you can go to askwesleyan.com. Type in, how do I prospect better? How do I identify my target market? How do I have an effective discovery call? And these answers are from me. This is not from all over the World Wide Web. This is not ChatGPT. These are actually curated from my videos. And from all the content that I have curated over the years. So scan the QR code or go to askwesleyan.com.
I love it. I got it right there. So
you got it right there?
I got it right there. Unlock instant insights with Wesleyne. And again, everybody, love to connect with you guys on LinkedIn. Connect with Wesleyne. I dropped my LinkedIn chat in there. I know, Julie, you dropped your LinkedIn there. We would love to connect with you. Gene, hopefully yours is in there. we've got we do these almost every month. Maybe we take a couple months off in summertime, Julie, but we've got a great program coming up next month. The most common marketing mistakes businesses make and how to avoid them. We have a dear friend coming to us from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Her name is Lori Hybe, and she's a fierce advocate for U.S. manufacturing. So we're coming back a month from almost just about a month, right? April 18th, 12 o'clock. So if you want to grab that QR code or just check out the Purdue MEP website. But I want to be mindful of people that need a wrap. But Wesleyne and I would love to stick around and address any questions. Buddy, I want to thank you for participating. We appreciate you. But if anybody has any questions or if you want to do another fun little exercise, Wesleyne, as you can tell, does a wonderful job on the spot tackling. So if you guys have any other questions, we love diving in. So we would welcome and we would cherish any questions that you guys have.
Yes, please raise your hand or pop off mute if you have a specific question or comment or concern that you want me to live coach you out of.
And if everybody's good, again, I don't want to hound anybody, but boy, we would love to have address any questions. And again, connect with Wesleyne on LinkedIn, connect with myself on LinkedIn, connect with the folks here at Purdue MEP. If you are not connected with the Purdue MEP, just Julie, let's hit it up, right? You guys cover lean, leadership, operational excellence. Our dear friend Gene Jones, cybersecurity, guys, but that's a hot topic right now. Definitely connect with the folks at the Purdue MEP. We offer wonderful marketing services. As you can tell, Wesleyne's a little bit of a sales guru. Fierce, and Wesleyne, just share real quick. You're a fierce, a recovering chemist, as I like to call you. You were in manufacturing for many, many years and just found, and how does a chemist become a sales coach?
You know, I was in the lab and I used to be a failure analysis chemist, and I was like, I need more human interaction. So I found myself in sales, and I tell everybody I figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up because I loved it. And because of my love and my passion, I made a really fast ascent from individual contributor to international sales manager. And now I work with organizations really in technical fields to help them understand that complex buying situation, to truly help them lay out sales strategy and sales process. So, yep, that was my transition.
Well, I love it. So, all right, before we we're a couple minutes, we got a couple minutes left. Any other questions that you guys want to hit up? And if not, we will let you guys go. And boy, we thank you. We never take these, we know how precious your time is. We never take this for granted. So we appreciate you spending your time with us. That is very we are honored. Any last questions before we close out?
Well, I don't see anything. All righty. Well,
good. All right, guys. Hey, God bless everybody. Thank you. Connect with the Purdue MEP, and we hope to see you guys next month. Enjoy March Madness. And Julie, how about a go Purdue, man? Right?
Boiler up. Yeah.
Boiler up. So whoever your team, I don't know how's everybody's brackets looking. Everybody good shape so far?
because I was like, no.
Well, thanks to you both. We really appreciate it. Such great wisdom for everyone, clients and everyone around. So thanks so much, guys.
Hey, thank you guys. Great comments in the chat. Buddy, thank you for participating. Go Volunteers. And so whoever your team you're rooting for, we're rooting you on. So how's that?
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Wesleyne. Thanks, Julie.
Hey, Wesleyne, Kurt, I was here the whole time. I don't know what happened to my video. It just kind of dropped out.
Dropped out. Well, God, Gene, I can't see your handsome face, man. I'm not good with that.
Well, you can see Wesleyne's face, so that's that.
Wow.
You know,
Hey, Wesleyne, do you want to
enjoy
share?
that?
Can you, speaking of, you know what? How about backup? I think you might have a picture that you might want to show Gene.
Wait, do you want to turn off the recording?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw that.